Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're looking at drones in Metro Atlanta, eyes in the sky, gaps on the ground. We're exploring a profound shift happening quite literally right above our heads. It's a massive story about technology, justice, and the ongoing fight for fairness as the eyes in our sky multiply rapidly.
You know, when you look up in Atlanta today, our changing reality is right there. The skyline isn't just steel and glass anymore. More and more, it's being watched by something much quieter, much smaller, and honestly, incredibly hard to spot from the ground. Unmanned aerial systems, yep, drones, have just exploded across the region's law enforcement and transportation agencies. They're marketed as these ultimate tools of efficiency and public safety. Basically, machines that share our sky while operating largely out of sight.
Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand the official use here, we got to talk about DFRs. That stands for Drone as First Responder Programs. When a 911 call drops in places like Brookhaven or Dunwoody, guess what happens? A drone is dispatched directly to the scene, and it often beats the patrol cars there. They map out the chaos from above and instantly reduce the immediate physical risk to human first responders. It's a very comforting official narrative, right? It's like having a high-tech guardian angel arriving right in moments of crisis.
Now, public agencies across Metro Atlanta have drawn some very clear, rigid boundaries around how these devices are actually supposed to be used. On paper, the system is highly controlled. Drones aren't out there autonomously patrolling your neighborhood or scanning the highways for speeding drivers. Instead, their use is strictly defined. We're talking emergency response, like those DFR programs for 911 calls. Then there's accident and disaster assessment, so mapping crash scenes or checking out storm damage. And finally, criminal investigation, providing overhead intel during active incidents. The huge takeaway here is that official policy insists these systems are strictly reactive, not proactive.
But there are absolutely exceptions testing these boundaries. Down in Bryan County, Georgia, law enforcement is literally using high-zoom drones to detect distracted driving. Imagine getting a seatbelt or cell phone ticket from a robot hovering a few hundred feet up. They use that aerial vantage point to flag violations and then relay the info to officers waiting on the ground. This real-world anecdote really forces us to ask a critical question. If the technological capability to monitor everyday infractions from the sky exists, what actually limits its expansion? And more importantly, who makes sure those limits are respected?
Well, that question of limits flips entirely when we cross over into the criminal shadow market. The contrast here is stark, and frankly, it's a bit terrifying. On one side, law enforcement drones are logged, highly restricted, and strictly bound by policy. But on the other, while public agencies are debating restraint, bad actors are showing absolutely zero hesitation. They're using the exact same technology, but their devices are totally unregulated, completely anonymous, and often cheap enough to be entirely disposable.
So how exactly are they using them? Well, bad actors are building highly organized patterns. Atlanta is a massive logistics and transportation hub, which makes it a prime playground for this kind of thing. They're doing pre-crime surveillance, using drones to map properties, track daily routines, and pinpoint vulnerabilities without ever setting foot on the ground. They're engaging in event targeting, basically running aerial recon over large public gatherings like concerts and festivals. And, heavily documented in the Southeast, they're attempting contraband delivery. They use drones to completely bypass traditional security perimeters to drop illegal items right into correctional facilities. Wild, right? So we have highly regulated official drones on one hand and completely unregulated criminal drones on the other. Let's slow down for a second and step into the courtroom, because this is where these two worlds collide, creating what researchers call the evidence gap. Drone footage, whether it's captured by police or civilians, is rapidly becoming a standard part of the evidentiary chain in our justice system. But interpreting what a drone sees, it's not as simple as watching a movie. Angles from high above can radically distort human perception. The resolution drastically varies depending on the camera and weather, and most importantly, the vital on-the-ground context is often completely missing from the frame.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core danger we're facing. Just let this quote from the research sink in for a moment. Aerial footage, while expansive, can flatten nuance, turning complex human interactions into simplified narratives. Video evidence in wrongful arrest and excessive force cases has proven to be incredibly decisive, but also deeply, deeply misleading. Think about it. From 400 feet up, a defensive gesture might look exactly like an aggressive attack. The sheer expansiveness of the view paradoxically wipes out the micro-nuances of human interaction that define intent.
This flattening of nuance creates massive systemic risks for the justice system. First up is selective visibility. What the drone captures might just be a tiny fragment. It often fails to reflect the full sequence of events leading up to an incident. Second is narrative bias.
Aerial footage naturally reinforces initial police interpretations of an event, which makes it incredibly hard to challenge the official story once that video is played. Finally, access inequality. Defendants rarely have equal access to this aerial data, nor do they have the financial or technical resources to properly analyze and contest it in court. Seriously, imagine your own actions, stripped of sound and context, flattened from above, being used to judge you. It's a scenario where technology risks amplifying existing disparities rather than correcting them.
But a totally fascinating countermovement is emerging to fight this systemic risk. Enter initiatives like Govia highlight a hero. Now, this isn't a tool for enforcement, but rather a corrective layer designed to rebalance how truth is documented and understood by those actually standing on the ground. Govia's model centers entirely on capturing, verifying, and amplifying the moments that traditional, top-down systems routinely overlook, specifically focusing on civilians who act lawfully or even heroically during high-stakes situations.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a practical defense against narrative bias. This is Govia's multi-source validation mechanism. Rather than relying on one single eye in the sky, it builds a complete picture from the ground up. Step 1, it actively integrates civilian smartphone footage. Step 2, it collects first-hand eyewitness accounts. Step 3, it gathers surrounding contextual data. By layering all these elements together, it actively counters the single-angle narratives generated by drones. It's a system built specifically to ensure that folks who are wrongly suspected or mischaracterized by aerial footage have a powerful mechanism to present alternative, ground-level evidence.
The dynamic here is incredibly clear. On the left side, you've got centralized overhead surveillance, the official narrative handed down from above, which is inherently limited by its altitude. On the right, decentralized accountability. Platforms like Govia empowering civilians right where the action happens. What's absolutely vital to understand here is that this civilian layer does not seek to replace official public safety systems. Instead, it boldly challenges their completeness. It acts as a parallel documentation system to preserve a fuller, much more honest record of events.
What we are seeing in Metro Atlanta is truly a microcosm of a much grander national tension. We are a system at a crossroads. On one side, you have the disciplined, highly policy-driven use of drones by public agencies, laser-focused on safety and efficiency. On the exact opposite side, you've got a rapidly evolving, entirely unpredictable landscape of private and criminal use. And caught squarely in the middle of these massive competing forces is our justice system, suddenly tasked with interpreting these incredibly complex and sometimes totally contradictory forms of visual evidence.
So the crucial point is this. The debate over whether drones belong in our skies or in public safety, that's over. That ship has completely sailed. The drones are already here. The only question that truly matters now is whether the justice and accountability systems surrounding this technology are robust enough to actually ensure fairness for everyone involved. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought to walk away with today. As this technology scales up, we have to look at the gap. In the vast space between what is captured by a silent watcher from 400 feet above and the messy, nuanced reality of what actually happens down on the ground, is the truth being clarified for us, or is it being lost? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this helped you see the sky above you just a little bit differently.